Trump's big, beautiful, billionaire butt-wiping bill, guaranteed to gut the economy, finally has blue states sitting up ready to fight. And some innovative state lawmakers are leading the charge to take out the Trump administration right below the knees. Ever since Trump was elected, we have been highlighting ideas for how blue states can band together and fight back. And there are several ways they can do that. In light of what has just been signed into law, none of those methods is more important than forming a blue state compact to replace Medicaid with their own form of Medicaid. And there are countless people who advocate that Pacific states and New England leave and join Canada, like this map shows. There are only two problems with this solution. First, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois will probably want to join too. And second, it would bankrupt the red states that remain. Now, you might ask, who cares? Pete Hegseth, that's who cares, because I guarantee you, Trump would use military force in order to keep blue states from leaving and taking their tax revenue with them, and Pete Hegseth would go along for the ride. After all, this is why he's cultivated his warrior culture. The biggest irony of this country is that blue states underwrite red state economies via the federal tax system and the federal government. So yes, all those states' rights, conservative, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, put the 10 Commandments in the classroom to fix all our problems, red states are absolutely economically dependent on blue states to survive. Blue states like California, Illinois, Massachusetts, New York, and even tiny Connecticut pour money into the federal government, and red states like Oklahoma, Mississippi, and Arkansas gobble up that money for their own state budgets. So much for pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. Meanwhile, Trump and his administration have been savagely wrecking the economy and democratic institutions by illegally withholding money that has already been allocated by Congress. And where is the Supreme Court in all of this? Dragging their feet and refusing to uphold the law. There is nothing clearer in the Constitution than the fact that Congress controls the purse strings. The only power a president has is to veto a budget. But once a budget is passed, the president has no power. Unless you're Trump, that is. And then you can defy the Constitution, and the Supreme Court is going to have to think that one through. And that's where state legislators in blue states are filing legislation to fight back and take a play right out of Trump's playbook to do it. Now, as a businessman, there was nothing Trump liked doing more than screwing over employees and contractors by not paying his bills. Trump would even brag about it on the campaign trail.
I know a lot about overtime. I'd hated to give overtime. I hated it. I'd get other people, I shouldn't say this, but I'd get other people in, I wouldn't pay. I hated.
Well, two different state legislators are saying that it's time to do the same thing to Trump. That what blue states should do is stop paying what's due to the federal government. And more. Watch this.
You hear a lot of pundits urging Democrats to fight fire with fire. Now, local lawmakers in mostly blue states are trying to do just that. They want to withhold funds owed to the federal government if these lawmakers determine the federal government is delinquent in funding owed to them. The untested approach is being tried in a handful of states, including Maryland and Washington. Joining us now, the Maryland House Majority Leader David Moon and Washington State Senator Manka Dhingra. Thank you both so much for being with us on this July 4th. Tell me, Leader Moon, did I explain that correctly? I know you've introduced two bills on this issue. How would it all work?
Well, we're basically in unprecedented times here where I introduced bills to treat the federal government as deadbeat debtors and basically have Maryland act like a collections agency. So we're talking about withholding funds that's owed to the feds and putting liens on their property.
Explain to us the impact that this would have on states, and if this legislation were successful, what then it would look like.
Absolutely. You know, we're at a time when the federal government is arbitrarily holding funds that are due to the states. For example, just recently, our federal government withheld $137 million from our schools. And this is money that goes to help our children with after-school programs and with enrichment. And having a bill that actually withholds federal dollars from the federal government will enable Washingtonians to get the services that they need, that they're entitled to under Washington law. So it's about making sure that we can continue to keep people receiving mental health services, physical services, housing, and things that they are entitled to. And so we have to make sure that when decisions are made in an arbitrary fashion, the states are able to stand up and fight back.
State Senator, I have about a minute left, but I'm going to tell you something you already know, which is you have legal experts who say this is never going to work. These bills face hurdles, particularly when it comes to the supremacy clause in the Constitution. It clearly establishes federal precedents over state law. Is this actually about getting it done, or is this facing the reality that we now live in an attention economy where you have to at least provide a sense of what a solution might look like, regardless of whether or not it is actually feasible?
Okay, now, without a doubt, the funniest part of this discussion is the incredulousness of host Alicia Menendez that these actions seem to fly in the face of the Constitution. And that is just typical of the media. Trump tears away at the Constitution every day, and the media just can't bring itself to call it out. Now, Democrats propose to do the same thing and are met with disbelief. But even funnier is that neither David Moon of Maryland nor Manka Dhingra from the state of Washington would come out and state the obvious, that they have every intention of giving the money out where it's needed right now, but then drag this process through the court system for as long as it takes. Frankly, I can't understand why state AGs and governors haven't already gotten to this plan already. They need to find even more ways to keep money from going to the federal government. Gavin Newsom and J.B. Pritzker are both great at calling out Trump. They have been less than stellar at providing the same kind of bold leadership that state representatives are putting out there. I hope like hell it's not because they are taking a play from the Schumer playbook of letting things get so bad that people will turn the Republicans out of Congress. Because that plan depends on thousands of people dying. And if that's your best plan, I'll run with the state reps, thanks just the same. It's time to start making red states pay their own way by any means possible. It's time to tell them to put that in your pipe and smoke it. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.